bill to the House.
Malo e la mali.
I call Marama Davidson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will indeed be rising to strongly support the Green Party's position. We will be vocally opposing the PACER Plus agreement tonight in the House. We have long vocally opposed the PACER Plus agreement. We believe it undermines the interests of the majority of the island nations. I think it's worth noting that only 14% of the actual Pacific population are on board with this, because the other bigger Pacific nations, we're looking at population here, have said this deal isn't for us. What is this deal actually going to produce in terms of benefits for us? And so I might start by acknowledging the really fantastic analysis, actually, the previous member might want to have a listen, of Dr. Cleo Pascal, who goes back to the purpose of what this trade deal says it is trying to achieve and how it fails on every count. So if the PACER Plus deal is trying to create economic integration, it fails. Some of the countries are not signing up and some are pulling out. How can that be economic integration? If this deal is supposed to create stability, it fails. There are internal frictions and political problems being created by this deal, and we cannot deny those, not the least with Tonga and Vanuatu. If this deal is supposed to ensure, as it actually says in the bill it is supposed to, that all trade passes through Australia and New Zealand, then why would other nations and other trading partners even consider this? And in actual fact, Washington DC, London have actually questioned this deal and what on earth is the purpose of it and what it is actually trying to do. So we're on good ground, the Green Party, in continuing to oppose this PACER Plus deal. We have always said that it doesn't include the largest Pacific regions and nations, as I've just pointed out, example Papua New Guinea and Fiji, and that it undermines initiatives towards greater Pacific regionalism, which apparently this trade deal was supposed to be about. It actually does the opposite. We've said it provides for New Zealand to divert 20% of the aid budget to aid for trade purposes coming from the existing aid budget. What is that about? That's a bit of a rort. And we know that the burden of trade rules in the agreement is on the small and the poor Pacific countries, not on Australia, which maintains high barriers. So what is that about? Which maintains its high barriers to the export of fruit and vegetables from the Pacific. So actually, what it says, especially under the initiative of the previous government, what it says is that it is trying to do is a bit of a farce. I want to acknowledge that this government has a new approach to the regions and the relationships, that this government has a new direction, and that there is opportunity, therefore, to reassess how this deal could actually benefit the Pacific region in the way that it says that it wants to. And I do want to acknowledge there is that opportunity here, and particularly that voices from New Zealand and Australia's domestic strategic community raise the undermining and the trade-off, actually, between what has largely been driven by business interests, which can in actual fact, and an analysis says that it is, undermining the strategic and economic interests of the Pacific economies themselves. So I don't understand, and that's why we are proud to oppose the direction that this Pacific trade agreement is going in. So coming in from the last national government led by, it was absolutely a bad deal, and I do acknowledge the opportunity that we have under this government to reassess this, but the Green Party will be continuing to oppose. And if I can, there's time, if I can just pick up in more detail three of our concerns that I mentioned at the start of my contribution. So tariffs. Under this deal, New Zealand gains privileged access to Pacific markets, while they gain no new access to our markets. There has been some analysis of a little bit of bullying, has been the word that has been used, from Australia and New Zealand as a nation towards Pacific nations. Now, if this is correct, that we gain new access, they gain no new access to our markets, then I think that holds true. For example, nowhere in the agreement are Australia and New Zealand required to drop our protectionist policies against the export by those nations of their fruit and vegetables that are also grown here. So these small island nations have to drop tariffs on most goods being imported from Australia and New Zealand, but not on the other side. For example, Australia, which maintains high barriers to the export of cover and fruit and vegetables from the Pacific. And so we have pointed out previously New Zealand exporters will gain $20 million in reduced tariffs, but this is lost revenue for Pacific governments that are already struggling to provide basic healthcare and education to their people. For example, Tonga spends $270 per person annually on healthcare, compared with New Zealand's spend of $4,016. So we may be better off, but they will be much worse off. So secondly, we've got time, it's about deregulation and promoting corporate rights. And this was clear from the get-go, particularly under the previous government. And as a result of this, experts have said we'll likely see these small states face pressure for them to privatise their core state-owned enterprises, and that is what allows external players to come in and section off parts of the Pacific economies, to actually fractionalise Pacific economies when this trade deal is supposed to be able to bring and regionalise the economy. So if we really are after a trade deal that will help integrate Pacific economies, provide a regionalised base where we can give fair trade deals that look to the long-term sustainability of Pacific business, economies and equalities, social and economic, then this is not the deal. And this is why the Green Party are proud to continue opposing this bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I call the Honourable Tim McIntyre.
Malo lo Malay, Madam Speaker.